Just from standing, we'll just kind of recap that and get to the ground. So a left collar tie versus left collar tie. We counter by getting the hand over, so we're going an over tie. I'm going to extend my right arm to weaken his collar tie and move my head away. Alright, so we were ear to ear, now we're temple to temple. So I step right, back step left, and I feed his head with my left hand into my right hand here. Once this happens, we get an overhook grip, we step left, and then we snap. Alright, I'm going to take good base on my left leg, and I pull with the chin strap and bring my right knee towards my left foot to get him from his hands down to his elbows here. Alright, so that's what we've covered so far. So if we just go back into the front headlock, so what we're going to start with is the Schultz Choke. So on the Schultz Choke, it's the same kind of details that we spoke about when we're using a standing front headlock. So I'm going to use the chin strap to pull his chin in the direction of my right elbow. I'm going to get the overhook grip here with the pinky and the bicep to pull his elbow in the direction of my left elbow here. If his elbow is outside the line of his shoulder, it makes it a lot harder for him to build up. My shoulder is connected to his neck here, and I'm dropping my knee down. Or drop my hips to the floor, draw my knee back. So what we're going to do on our first setup is I bring my right hand through deep. Alright, so the blade of my hand is kind of connected to his neck. I take a gable grip, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my head from his back and I start to look into his armpit here. Alright, I'm going to keep walking, looking into the armpit. I raise my right elbow and I keep walking till I get the tap here. So two things are going to happen. He's either going to keep the base, so if you keep good base, and I get the tap, or what happens is we continue to roll through, and then this allows us to set up our Anaconda Choke. So it's a really good way of breaking someone down, and it's like it's not that you're just using it as a breakdown. What you're also doing is you're like say creating a threat of a sub. So if he says here, you put a lot of pressure on his neck, you get the submission. What a lot of time happens is for him to alleviate some of the pressure, he dips one of his shoulders. Alright, so we'll talk about that, and that allows you to break him down a lot easier. Alright, so hand goes through, thumb facing me. We get a gable grip, and I put my head from his back into his armpit here. My shoulder's connected to the back of his head. I keep walking with my feet. I open up my left elbow and I walk towards it. And I keep raising my right elbow high. On the first one, we get the finish. Second one, you can see his right shoulder starting to dip. So what I do is I bring my left leg underneath my right leg, fall to our right hip, and then we can start going into our Anaconda Choke. Alright, so let's give that a shot. A couple of details on that, right? When you set up the Schultz Choke, the choke in hand, the way we're going to do it is we're going to go right hand down. Alright, because if you go right hand with the palm facing up, the problem with that is, so this is my choke in hand, if I go palm facing up, I can only raise my elbow so high. Whereas if I go palm facing down, you can see I can raise my elbow a lot higher. And that's really important because on the Schultz Choke, we're like say putting the blade of the forearm into the neck here, we want to bring this elbow nice and high. So that's why if we go palm facing down, elbow can't go too high, palm facing up, we can raise the elbow higher. Alright, so chin strap, we get into position, and we're going to bring this hand through nice and deep. So you should be able to see, like say, your 5 fingers here, right? We take a gable grip. Mike, you're going to give me good base now, right? So what I want to do is, I want to keep his elbow away from his body. I'm going to put my ear into his armpit. I'm looking over at that far elbow, so his left elbow. The next thing I do is, I open up my left elbow here, and I keep walking to that, and I keep raising this right elbow high. Alright, so that's best case scenario, I get the tap. Let's say I'm obviously on my knees now to take the pressure off, but let's say that I'm raising the elbow high, I'm creating pressure, it feels like there's a submission coming on, so he starts to dip to his right shoulder to alleviate some of the pressure. Because his right elbow's gone inside, it's going to be easier for us to do a sit through here. Alright, once this happens, I drop to my right shoulder and then I pull him up on top, and then we can start attacking our Anaconda Choke. Alright, so let's think about those little details on the finish and in the position of the hand. Alright, so 3, 2, 1. So let's say we get into our front headlock. We're here, we have our chin strap. I find for whatever reason, I'm just not able to get my right hand through for this Schultz Choke. Alright, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to go back on the chin strap and I'm going to snap. On the last kind of sequence, we were using these kind of snaps. If we open your hands there from referee's position, we're using these snaps to break him back down to his elbows. But what we're going to use the snaps for now is basically to, like say, get neck exposure. So when I pull him forward with the elbow and the chin strap, I'm lifting his head up, and then that exposes his neck. Alright, so this is going to be good for, like say, all types of front headlock chokes. So I'm going to pull him towards me using the overhook grip and the chin strap. Slide my right knee to my left foot here, and once I find that his neck is opening, I'm just going to get my hand in here. All right, so my right hand is starting to come in. So now what I want to do is I want to bring my head from, say, his right shoulder over to his left shoulder here. Once this happens, I can get my hand up nice and high. All right, once I get my hand high, I'm going to cover his shoulder with my chest. I'm going to go lock up our ninja choke here. So I'm just going to go right hand to my left bicep. Sorry, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, sorry, my fault. So we go again. So we'll kind of do it a little bit slower on you. So I pull him forward, all right. I manage to get my hand, say, on his shoulders here. I bring my head from the right side to the left side. This is a really important detail. What this does is, this gets my right hand high and then it gets my elbow into a 6 o'clock position here. All right, once this happens, we've loads of options. We can choke by gripping our elbow. We can lock up the ninja choke, which we're working here. You've loads of different variations. All right, so again, so I pull him forward, we get neck exposure, and I just get my hand in. So my elbow's in a low elbow position. I then bring my head from his right shoulder to his left shoulder, and once this happens, I punch this hand up nice and high. Here, you should be able to kind of see my wrist and the back of my hand here. Once I get my hand high, I cover the shoulder, and then my right hand grabs my left tricep, and then what I do is I bring my right elbow in towards my body to get the tap. All right, so let's give that a go and we'll add more details. So 3, 2, 1. 2 details on the ninja choke, right? So let's say we manage to get into this front headlock position, bringing the elbow forward. We pull the chin forward to expose the neck, and I punch my right hand in. So this is going to be shallow, right? I slide my knee forward and I bring my head from his right shoulder to his left shoulder here to get my elbow into like a 6 o'clock position. Keep my head on his left shoulder, I lock up my choke here. All right, when I want to finish, I can then put my head over his back. So I want you to imagine, like, say you're nearly like holding a football between your arm and your lat. So I'm going to, like, say, get his head kind of like in between my rib cage and my bicep here. And then on the finish, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your 2 elbows up. So you're going to bring them up towards your head, and then the elbow of the choking arm, you bring that in towards your body. All right, so 2 elbows up, and then your elbow goes in towards your body. If you go with, like, say, if you don't bring your head from the right side to the left side and you keep your elbow outside and not in like a 12 to 6 kind of position, so the elbow is at 6 o'clock and the hand is roughly at 12 o'clock, a lot of time when someone tries to spin, if you have good elbow position, so if you try to spin to your left shoulder, you can stay connected to them and you can come up on top. All right, a good example of this was Marab versus Sean O'Malley. So that's when I have correct elbow position. If I have poor elbow position, if we go to here, if I go poor elbow position and he tries to spin out to his left shoulder, you can see we can't keep connected, so he kind of like spins inside the lock. All right, so the elbow position is really important for finishing, but it's also really important for control. So again, so bringing the elbow forward, chin strap to expose the neck, and I punch in kind of like a shallow guillotine here. Bring the head from his right shoulder to his left shoulder, this brings us up nice and high. We lock up our choke here, I bring my knee inwards and I cut an angle and I put his head in between my armpit and my bicep. I pull both elbows up towards the sky, and then I bring my right elbow in towards my hip to get the tap. All right, so 3, 2, 1.